back to the next segment of Into the Abyss. My name is Kevin Lucia.
C.W. Breyer.
Thomas McDonough.
So this is a segment where I'm going to give you my 5 top streaming of the month. Just as a note, I'm a teacher, which means I have the summer off, which means for 2 months, even after I've done all the chores, done my own writing,
Garage sale.
Went down to garage. Now I'm like, what do? Watch movies. So my goal of the year is to provide you every month with my top 5 streaming of the month. And then just as a clarify, just to reiterate what I said in our first video, for me, a movie either entertains me or intellectually stimulates me. I may already know where this movie's going, but it's really, really well done. Maybe the movie's only but it's really got me guessing, where is this going? So without further ado, let's jump into our top 5 streaming. Starting at number 5, we have on Netflix streaming right now, The Super, directed and written by Steven Richards, starring Val Kilmer. Now, believe it or not, I can't tell you a lot about this film, because to tell you a lot about this film is one of those ones where I'm worried that anything I'm going to say is going to be a spoiler. I will say this. There is a temptation to think, Val Kilmer? Really? Is he going to wander on there, look confused, and say, I'm your Huckleberry, and then wander off?
No,
The answer is...
Don't go after the classic now.
The answer to this is no. Okay, this was a good, solid movie. I'll be honest, Val Kilmer is the only actor of note on this.
Question is, would have been better if he said I'd never.
Yeah. You know what? This was one where I'm going to be honest with you. Val Kilmer was not phoning it in. Val Kilmer was not phoning it in. Maybe you can accuse Val Kilmer of never having much range to begin with. He only had a couple roles in him, and that was it. But honestly, he did not phone this one in. This was a really good movie. Basically, he's the super of an apartment building. He's kind of creepy and weird. Maybe has some voodoo beliefs. And this is an apartment building where people end up going missing. And we've got a new custodian who's moved in, who's got 2 kids. We don't know much about his background. We don't know what happened to his wife. And he's now working under Val Kilmer, and he's kind of on point and encountering all these strange things that are happening in the apartment. And I'm not going to say any more. I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe this is a little bit on the low budget side, okay, but Val Kilmer doesn't phone it in, and I was legitimately surprised at the end of this movie. Okay,
Right.
Number 4 is going to be Satanic, written and directed by Jeffrey Hunt, also on Netflix. I'm not going to give you any of the actors' names because I don't know who they are. Okay, a bunch of college kids decide it would be a good idea for their spring break to tour all the demonic and satanic landmarks of L.A. Like, for example, they stop at the place where Charlie Manson would meet with his, followers and things like that. They stop at a satanic temple. Again, the acting on this, the atmosphere is really, really, really good, though. And there's a really unique twist, and there's a couple shocking moments where you're like, whoa, that just really happened. So this is one of those sleepers where, I'm going to be honest, Rotten Tomatoes did not give this a very good score. But I was sitting there going, wow, what's going on here? This is really, really good tension, really good atmosphere. So Satanic is my number 4.
So you're like one big red tomato, positive tomato.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think this goes back to what Tom McDonough has said in our other videos. Don't listen to critics. Don't listen to Rotten Tomatoes. If you're interested, go watch it. Number 3, we've already referenced this movie, Mother. We also, apologies, we misattributed. It's not directed by Ari Aster, but by Darren, I'm going to totally... Aronofsky, yes. Starring Javier Bardem and J. Law, Jennifer Lawrence. So I'm going to expand a little bit on my comments from the other movie. This movie was exhausting. And I don't mean in a bad way. I mean, it's emotionally exhausting. Like, I felt at the end of this movie that I'd been through 12 rounds with Rocky Balboa, and in the 13th round, Ivan Drago came on and, stepped on my head some more. The basic setup is that we have Javier Bardem as a poet, and he's struggling to find his muse. That whole frustrated writer, I can't create, and Jennifer Lawrence is his very understanding wife. And it's a little surreal. Little. Peep, have you seen it?
I've seen parts of it.
Okay.
Yes.
People just start showing up at their house. They are the cover story is, oh, somebody told us this was a bed and breakfast. And then Javier Bardem's like, sure, come on in. While J-Law is like, wait, what? You know? So the madness just continues. More and more people. Suddenly J-Law is like, oh my God, there's a house party in my house. What's happening? So this movie is one of those ones that's, I'm not sure if it's actually enjoyable, but it's an amazing metaphor, a powerful metaphor, because, Javier Bardem is a poet. So there's a lot in here about being married to a writer, and then when a writer becomes popular, about how his work no longer belongs to him, and then the writer belongs to everybody and doesn't belong to J-Law anymore, because we have this part of the movie where he starts publishing poems again, and the fans are just fawning over him to the point where they're showing up at J-Law's house and stealing stuff from the house because they're like, oh, I've got something from the famous poet's house. Then we go to another level. Believe it or not, this becomes an allegory or a metaphor for how Mary must have felt giving birth to Jesus, and how Jesus belongs to everyone and no longer belongs to you as the mother. Hence the name of the movie, Mother.
Also, how Baby Yoda's mother must feel now.
Have you not seen The Mandalorian yet? I'm totally missing
You
that.
really have to bring that up now.
Yes.
Well, I got to say this about Mother. We talked about this in our last video when we talked about Midsommar.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it's pretentious, right? But it's one of those ones where you're not going to walk away from that going, wow, that was a fun movie. Like, for example, not one of my top streaming of the month, but I saw Zombieland recently on Netflix. I'm like, dude, that was awesome. I saw Bill Murray as a zombie. This is one of those movies you walk away from physically and emotionally wrung out. But you know what? At the risk of being pretentious, that's what art is supposed to do. Art is supposed to challenge you. It's supposed to push you. And that currently is actually on Hulu right now. So if you got Hulu. Number 2, Autopsy of Jane Doe. Directed, written by Andrew Overdahl, the guy of The Troll Hunter, okay, starring Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch. This was a wonderful film, okay. Basically, a corpse is discovered in the middle of a mass murder, but the corpse is half buried, and it's very mysterious. The corpse doesn't seem to have any relation to the mass murder. Nobody knows why these people went crazy and killed themselves. So now these two, a father and a son autopsy team, are starting an autopsy, and as they proceed, the body holds secrets, and things start happening in the mortuary. Again, to say too much would be to reveal too much, but this was a remarkably tense movie.
Father, son, mortician. I mean, or autopsy,
Well,
pathologist.
There's actually a
That's a bonding moment right there.
yeah. This is not really hit upon as much as it could, but there is a mild. I'm following in the footsteps of my dad. There's a scene early in the movie where he could go out in the town with his girlfriend, but decides, Dad's got this last minute call. I should help him with it. That doesn't really become a part of the movie after that, but there is a little bit of that. Like, am I following in my father's footsteps because I want to, or because I feel obligated to? Number 1, and it's funny because I just saw, I don't know if anyone is following Peter Laws on YouTube or have read Peter Laws' books, which, by the way, Peter Laws' books are right here. The Frighteners, a nonfiction book about horror, and he's a Baptist minister in England, which is awesome. And he's got 3 really great thrillers, so that's an unofficial book plug for Peter Laws. He's got a great YouTube channel where he just just mentioned this.
Better than our
movie.
channel.
Yeah, much better than our channel. Where he just reviewed.
Why are
this.
you here watching us? Go watch Peter.
Go watch Peter Laws. Don't watch us. So Demonic is a James Wan film. No surprise there. It's my #1 top streaming, also on Netflix. By the way, Autopsy of Jane Doe is on Netflix. It's starring Frank Grillo and Maria Bello. This is an interesting movie because it's a mix of found footage and actual movie. So the found footage is about these group of kids who, predictably, they're college parapsychology students who are going to a famed haunted house.
Is that really a major in colleges?
Parapsychology, yeah, it's a big thing now.
Oh, you know what? They had that in Ghostbusters too, so I shouldn't say it.
That's true. Nothing is new. Nothing is new.
All
I
right.
already had that. But anyway, so they are going to research this famous house where there was this slaying and this cult activity years ago. And boom, we realized that we discovered there was one survivor of that night. One of these students is the son of that one survivor, and we didn't realize this. So they're basically trying to channel and raise these demonic forces. It's a really interesting movie because we're split between the real time. Frank Grillo is the police sergeant who's heading up the case here because basically they get called there and there's only one survivor, the son of the previous survivor. And all the other kids are dead or / missing. So he's investigating this. Maria Bello is his girlfriend / fiance, and she's a police psychologist.
Is that a slash?
What's that?
His girlfriend / fiance?
I
He
honestly
didn't get her a ring yet.
I'm
Okay.
only saying that because I honestly can't remember. I know
Okay.
they're living together.
His paramour.
I can't
lover.
remember if he had put a ring on that.
/ wife
Yeah.
/ ex.
I can't remember if he put a ring on that or not. But she's a police psychologist who's in charge of interviewing this last survivor. And Demonic did a really nice job of transitioning from the real-time investigation. And they're sitting there because it was a parapsychology experiment. So of course, they had cameras throughout the building. The cameras had been corrupted by some mysterious force, which maybe is a little convenient, but show me a horror movie without convenience, and I'm going to say it's not a horror movie. But anyway, so the real time is the police detectives and their cyber guys trying to, doing all these things. Oh, put the DV things in the cold, and that'll help us retrieve the footage, and they're retrieving the footage. And so they're seeing the footage of what happened. But then also the psychologist interviewing this last survivor and getting his take. So we have those flashbacks as his take. It turns out to be a really, really nice. Now, I am going to say that I wasn't super surprised by the ending. But it was #1 on my top 5 streaming, again, on Netflix this month, because it did a really nice job of straddling this. Here's the real-time investigation. Here's the police psychologist interviewing the last survivor and giving us flashbacks. And here's the real-time investigation pulling apart the found footage. So they meld that really nice. And that is why that's my top 5 streaming. Now, here's my caveat. We are a little bit behind in our schedule because that's just what happens. So some of these movies I originally watched, they're no longer on Netflix now. So I do have to give you an honorable mention before I move on. It's not on Netflix anymore. I don't know where it is. I was originally going to include a gem of a movie called Don't Kill It. My main attraction to this movie was starring Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren plays a Cajun demon hunter. Now wrap your mind around that for a minute. Dolph Lundgren trying to achieve a Cajun accent, which, by the way, Dolph Lundgren does also something ridiculous. Like he studied astrophysics. Like some
He
really
was I think he was a Rhodes Scholar.
he was just some crazy science,
Yeah.
electromechanical physics. But I'm going to be an actor, I guess, because So
I'm
anyway,
super huge and blonde.
it's not on Netflix anymore, so I can't include it in my 5 stream. But Dolph Lundgren is a traveling Cajun demon hunter who's chasing this demon that has a very specific MO. It jumps into a person. It jumps to another person when you kill it. and it jumps into the person who kills it. Hence the title.
Okay.
Don't kill it. It's Dolph Lundgren. He's being Dolph Lundgren.
If you can't stream it, just go find him and ask him to reenact it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the Don't Kill It. I mean, that was a major attraction that Dolph Lundgren was in it. So that's not on my list though because it's no longer streaming.
Okay.
But anyway, those are the movies that I would recommend on Netflix streaming. Those 5
And Hulu.
movies and Hulu. Yes.